is the water of meats.
Well, we had what we could classify as our first real football weekend of the season. And just think, it'll get better in a few more weeks. 4 more weeks. Had the wife ask me. So how much longer until Nebraska football? I said 4 weeks. She said, 4 weeks? Yeah, it's 4 weeks.
We sure it'll be better?
Well, it'll be better.
It'll be more plentiful, Stibbs.
You'll have a rooting interest.
Yeah.
Stibbs is so
I have rooting interests now. Kind of.
Ugh.
All right, Jack. Well, we're not gonna get much out of Stibbs today. He's a little down in the daubers.
That's all right. It should cheer you up. I was just working on my color-coded Google Doc while I was waiting for you guys to come to me here. I was updating it with the latest baseball TV listings and the latest college football TV listings. In that time between now and when Nebraska plays, in fact, up until election night, there is on every night, in most cases, both of these on, 2 out of these on. NBA Finals, Major League Baseball playoffs, an NFL game, or a college football game between Power 5 teams. Every single night, there's at least one of those, most of them 2 or 3 of those, from now until election night. So, and by then, Nebraska football will be started. So at least you'll be busy with that.
There you go, Stibbs.
Yeah.
I think you cheered him up.
Mm-hmm. I'm cheered up.
Like it.
Sort of. I mean,
including, I believe, next Thursday with the Broncos on Thursday Night Football, right?
For a chance at their only win of the year, apparently.
This upcoming Thursday, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Exciting.
That'll be a rough loss.
The idea of Wang nachos is to be able to eat the nachos and not regurgitate them. We have to watch the Jets.
See, now the problem is that's also that's also the same night, one of these days that you've got 8 baseball games on at once too, right?
Wednesday and maybe Thursday. If the right wins happen on Wednesday, we would also get that Thursday.
Between 4 and 8 games on Thursday. Yeah, which is crazy. How there isn't an NFL Red Zone for that. That would be the best way to watch baseball ever. They should experiment with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if MLB Network is doing anything. I think it's
they're not. They're putting on The Sandlot or something during the game, I'm sure.
Ty Cobb, racist or not racist? Coming up Wednesday on MLB TV.
So did it feel like a good football weekend to you? I mean, did this feel normal even though Nebraska wasn't playing?
Yeah, I didn't think, and this whole confusion with the question, I tried to ask Josh very poorly, but like I had seen someone say on Twitter in the morning, like, I'm just not excited about this day of college football. And that's how I felt last week. I didn't watch anything last week. I tried to, and I wasn't interested. And so I was wondering, like, okay, is that going to be the case today? And if it's not, how much of that is still because the Big Ten and Nebraska aren't playing? Because I think there was also a part of me that wondered, even when Nebraska does plays, is this just going to feel blah the whole time? And so that's what I was trying to start that discussion with Josh, and I didn't do a good job. But bottom line is, by about 4:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, I was all in back on college. It felt like a regular, to me, it felt like a regular college football Saturday. And I was pleased because I didn't know if we would feel like that ever this year. Now, I don't know if you're going to get games that good again, and with that clear of rooting interest for me, just because, of course, you'd love to see Mike Leach just stick it to LSU. Of course, you'd like to see Oklahoma lose. Of course, you'd like to see Texas lose to Texas Tech. So that helped it for me, is that there were all these really good games that were upsets where I had a clear rooting interest in them. And that's what you need to make a college football Saturday good. And it had all of it. I hope we get more of those over the course of the next few Saturdays.
Yeah, Jack, kind of along those lines, because the one of the takeaways from this, and I know I've had it, is, see, this is why the complaining about the Ohio State and Penn State games in the first month of the season is silly, because we're going to see a lot of upsets. We saw comebacks on Saturday. How do you view what happened on Saturday in terms of what it could mean for the Big Ten? Because I almost wonder if we're talking about it so much that a lot of these really good teams that haven't played yet are going to be on guard, unlike they would be, because they're seeing, top 10 counterparts get upset by various teams early.
Yeah, that'll probably happen. But on the other hand, this will be a month from that now. Sure. And all of that is going to seem like distant past by the time Nebraska and Ohio State plays. But I think it's probably, one of the things that it made me think of, guys, yesterday or Saturday while I was watching is, these were unexpected outcomes, but we've gone into this season like so sure of who's good and who's not. And like, there's just this assumption, okay, it's the same 4 or 5 teams at the top. Ohio State and Wisconsin are the best in the Big Ten. Like, we haven't questioned. Sometimes we go into this season with this like groupthink about who the teams are. And every season we realize, okay, that's not necessarily right. And that's probably going to happen even more this year than it has in previous years. So I think that's a big part of it as well. I think, Texas probably isn't as good as people thought they were, despite, believe it or not. I know who could ever seen that coming. In Oklahoma may not have a good defense. You're kidding. I hadn't seen that either. Didn't see that coming either. But some of these things that we've assumed the entire offseason, it takes one day of football to make you think again about.
I came out of the weekend again, reinforced that Nebraska getting these games when they got them is better than the alternative, which is, if they were to literally just take the first 4 and the last 4 and flip them on the calendar, I think it's actually better for Nebraska to get the good guys early, because I think you can now, will Ohio State be on upset alert? Absolutely they are. Good coach teams are. But you're going to get more mistakes. We've seen that. And even in Oklahoma,
pros too.
Even in Oklahoma, who gets out by 3 scores, then all of a sudden can't figure out, we need to make a first down here. And, we need to block on special teams. And just like that, the game flips. I don't know. I think the schedule breaking out as it did will be more of a benefit. Plus, and here's another subject for you. I think just the nature of this season, the fact that it's a pandemic, the fact that the schedule is very difficult, the fact that Nebraska is public enemy number 1 in the Big Ten, I think if there was ever a year where you could throw away all the trappings of narratives and what's good versus what's not good. Yes, we want Nebraska to play well, but I think this is the type of year where just playing the games is good enough. And I don't think the usual takes that we have to have after every Nebraska game need to be there this season.
Yeah, it might feel that way. I don't know. It's still.
I realize once the game starts, it's going to change, but that's the way I feel right now.
And part of that just goes to, the number of games, the weirdness of the schedule. You can't fit it in formulaically to kind of the structure that you've had in evaluating seasons before as well. So it may end up being that way. I don't know. On the other hand, let's say Nebraska does go out and get a win against a Wisconsin or a Penn State or whatever it is. Is that going to feel as good? Is it going to feel as celebratory around here after that kind of thing? That's kind of by the same token. I wonder that as well.
Well, just bouncing around and reading stuff, whether it's the national opinions on games or even some of the local ones, I have not gotten a tinge of unnormalcy. It is every article comes across very we're going to react poorly because Oklahoma blew this, or we're going to react poorly because LSU did this, or on the other hand, we're going to react very positively because Mike Leach did X, Y, or Z. Like, I haven't gotten any read, and not like I'm reading articles on every single team in the country, but I've not gotten any read that anything is different. If you just read about the football game and the opinions about them, it seems very normal so far.
Yeah, and the more weekend, and keep in mind, this was the first weekend where it kind of felt real, at least to us. You're going to build one after the other. I thought it was notable. I don't know about you guys, but it felt like every game I watched was in a stadium that was like a quarter full and not totally empty, which felt significant to me for some reason. And which, by the way, I had this thought while I was watching those games, and I tweeted this out. Quarter full stadiums looks like an absolutely pleasant game day experience. I think all the room and you just stretch your legs out. You don't have to worry about having an aisle seat. You can get up to the bathroom and back in quickly. I'm afraid I'm going to go to a quarter filled stadium and I'm never going to want it full again in my life.
Yeah, at the same time, the Big Ten, I don't know how you guys think, but I don't think we'll see the Big Ten revisit that decision.
Might that topic be revisited?
No.
I don't know.
I don't think it will. And so with everybody else, and I just saw a scroll on ESPN that Vanderbilt is going to reconsider having fans. Vandy, little old Vandy, is going to reconsider having fans. That there's going to be a bit of a disadvantage, I think, to the Big Ten in that there won't be anybody there.
You talking about for us as viewers at home?
For us as viewers, but, theoretically also for the teams and for the programs themselves. Yeah, you're right. LSU, Death Valley doesn't feel like Death Valley when there's not 90,000 people in there, but it didn't take away so much from the environment because you could hear, you could
hear the upset fans.
You could hear people in there.
Yeah.
And there won't be that for Nebraska or Ohio State or Penn State.
I think the difference between 0 and 15,000 is much bigger than the difference between 15,000 and 90,000. Actually, I don't know if you guys agree with that.
I agree.
I can see it.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. And so, yeah, it was. I don't know. Like, I don't remember any games that I watched on Saturday. Maybe you guys remember one, but it struck me. I was like, wow, every single one of these games seems to have fans in it. And that maybe that's just because of the Big 12 and the SEC being the primary ones that I was watching. It's gonna and that'll kind of become the norm, I think. And then you're gonna have the Big 10 come in with no fans, and although most of the NFL is still that way. You're right. I think that is going to be. I think you're right, John. That's going to feel a little different after we probably get used to a month of this having fans in, at least partial fans in a lot of these stadiums.
Yeah, and Jack, I think what it is, because you're right. Most of the NFL games don't have anyone at them, but basically every game I watched in college this weekend, I can't remember one that didn't have fans. I think that there's like these natural reactions that happen when teams are struggling. We got that in the Oklahoma game. We got that in the LSU game. Meanwhile, the Seattle-Dallas game yesterday, it's like these artificial, hey, let's press a button of like, boo, let's press a button of cheering. And it just does not come across as very realistic. Whereas for the games with fans, 15,000 pissed off fans are still pissed off, and you can still hear them being angry about what's happening.
Yeah, there were a couple of times in the NFL this week. Like, I don't know for about you guys for baseball so much, but I just didn't notice the fan noise that was piped in for the most part, or it didn't, it did, which is probably a good thing. It didn't ever stick out to me, and I didn't really ever notice it. There were a couple of times in the NFL, and I think that was one of them, Josh, where I was like, man, that sounds it sounded fake. It sounded like they were overly trying to react to a bunch of stuff, and the NFL hasn't done it as well. Isn't it weird too, how in some of the stadiums, and I think maybe we talked about this, it was last Monday night. I thought that new Raiders stadium, while it looked very cool, it was the most empty feeling of any of the stadiums that I had seen. And then there are other ones that you can't tell. You don't really notice, partially because of the camera shot and partially because of what they're doing with the sound. But it's that Raiders game, I could not get over it during that game. I don't know why, but I don't always have that all the game, so it's weird.
Yeah. No, it did. It some of these NFL games have felt empty. Certainly watching Aaron Rodgers hard count the Saints in their own building last night was jarring. Watching the Eagles flub up at the end and settle for a tie at home, you would expect a cascade of boos. Instead, it was just, canned crowd noise. I agree with you. I think the difference between nothing and a little something is greater than the difference between, the 15,000 and a full stadium, because there's real life human emotion involved. There's real life, reaction, real time people, expressing themselves versus just a canned don't rumble in the background. And
there's a band and there's cheerleaders and there's and the mascot and that kind of stuff, I think, which plays into that too.
All right. We had a quote last week from Scott Frost. He was on the radio last week, and he had expressed some concern over the Big Ten's daily testing rate, the whole 5% thing. And said, this is something we really have to keep an eye on. Lancaster County has been in double digits in positivity rate for the last 5 weeks. This will probably be 6 in a row. How concerned should Scott Frost be that even though you're going to have daily testing and they've done a pretty good job so far, that Nebraska may miss some time this year because they exceed that 5% threshold?
Yeah, they are going to have to. Those players are going to have to absolutely lock it down. I mean, otherwise it's going to happen. I'll tell you what, guys, just anecdotally, in the last 2 weeks, I know more people directly that have been impacted or tested positive than the rest of this entire pandemic combined. And I know it's totally anecdotal, but it just feels like around here you're having a ton more people. And it started when the university came back, and it feels like you're feeling the spread from that now here. And I think because of that, yeah, if they are not absolutely careful about it, they're going to have a hard time with the numbers being like that. Or I've heard a few people throw around the term poison pill about the testing protocols that are out there. I don't know if that's fair or not. But I know, like, I'm pretty sure, guys, that like Kansas State, if they were in the Big Ten, they wouldn't have played that game against Oklahoma that they ended up winning based on their testing.
Was it seven guys that tested positive the night before?
Yeah,
I think that was the number.
I believe that was the number. Yeah, unless they had 150 guys on the roster. Last time I checked, 7 guys out of 100, that's more than 5%. So they would have been shut down.
Yeah, Jack, real fast, have you gotten an understanding on the 5% threshold? Is it just 5% of the test that day, or is it a cumulative number over the course of an entire week?
This is the most confused. I have heard different explanations from different people who should know, which is it is crazy. One of them, now I can't remember. Now I've got to think back now that you're asking me. One of them I know is a rolling 7-day average.
Okay.
Right? I believe that's the first number. And then the second one, I believe, is the number of total positives within that community, which includes the coaches and the staff and everyone else.
Right.
But I'm not totally sure. Like, I'm telling you, we have talked to administrators at the university, athletic department people. I've heard from other I'm still fairly sure that nobody quite understands this, which is a little concerning at this point.
Well, par for the course, because Frost also mentioned he doesn't know if there's going to be limits on the number of people he can have on the roster. We don't know if teams are going to be traveling the day of the game or will be allowed to travel the day before the game. There's still so many questions out there, so it should be no surprise that this is just another one of them. And I don't know if that's done by intent to try to make things even more confusing, or the Big Ten just really, really, really sucks at communicating.
Oh, I'm sure the Big Ten has it on lockdown. It'll be fine. They're good at this kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're really good. So are you having a big debate overreaction tomorrow night?
Oh my gosh.
You hosting that tomorrow?
No. I'll be doing that Wednesday morning, I guess. Yeah. No, it's let's see. Let me go to the color-coded guide to see what is counter programming to the debate on Tuesday night. Oh, we got the baseball starting. Yankees and Indians at 6:00. So
do you have to take a drug test before you do big debate overreaction on Wednesday morning?
No, I don't. But if there is a drug that allows you to kick ass in debates, get me that drug. Load me up with it on a Saturday during a college football game or during a Nebraska basketball game, and let's battle on Twitter. I'll be all hopped up on whatever that Trump says Biden's on, crushing people everywhere. It'll be awesome.
I've never seen you lose a debate, Jack. I don't
That's
think
a great point. Imagine if I'm mainlining that stuff. Holy cow. I'll be like a super Twitter user.
Should we now, especially since there's going to be counter baseball programming, should we do a Wang Nachos for the debate on Tuesday?
Right. Just getting to an important question about peaceful transfer of power, and I'm like, I want to see the 6th inning of this baseball game.
Well, in this case, I think we'd all agree with you and say, yeah, let's go to the 6th inning of the baseball game.
That's true. It's Schaefer's Indians, and they'll probably be behind, and he's going to be like Eeyore with his teams like he always is already, and it's unbearable while they're in the playoffs and they're hosting the Yankees, and oh my gosh, I'm cheering for an actual losing team.
His gambling is going not well right now,
Schaefer?
Judging by the old tweets from one Mike Schaefer. It's not going very well for him.
Well, I'm not surprised he feels that way.
Poor Mike.
Poor Mike.
That's why you got to stay away from it, man. It's bad.
I love it
for you. It's bad for you.
Hey.
Weirdly, I'm better on the NFL right now than college. I don't understand.
I always have been. Tony's gambling is getting out of hand right now.
Oh, on the Sopranos.
Yeah, so if I've learned anything from the Sopranos, it's careful on the gambling, guys.
Hey, real quick, guys, this will surprise you. Do you know what? I did not watch. I could not bring myself to watch Alex Gordon's last game on Sunday.
What?
He
only played an inning.
I know he did, and they took him out, and so. But I didn't do that. Like when Hosmer and Moustakis, or what they thought, and Kane, they thought it was their last game as well. I can't watch it. I hate those last games.
You're sad.
Yeah, it's just depressing. It's not fun or anything for me. So I just tuned it out. Didn't even watch the
Did you
NFL.
cry?
What? I didn't watch it, so no, I didn't cry.
Well, I know, just maybe he's crying because he's not watching it.
No, I didn't want to allow my emotions to even have that kind of a field day. So
Dang.
I watched some good NFL yesterday.
Yeah, Nick, take more of the arguing drugs. That'll dry up the old tears.
Jack doesn't want to give Alex Gordon the departure he deserves. Very interesting. Some Royals fans.
He wouldn't have wanted it for me anyway. He doesn't want any extra pomp and circumstances. Alex didn't even want me to he doesn't even want me to pay attention to this.
Meanwhile, we're switching over in the middle of an exciting football game to watch some meaningless at bat in a late September Royals game, but Jack can't bring himself to watch Alex Gordon's last appearance.
That's funny. That's true. So let's figure it out. Now that the Royals season is over, we really can do a Wang Nachos. So you guys let me know, and we can put it up on the garage if you want to. We can do it that way, and we need to fire it up again. It's been too long.
I'm only half kidding about doing this week. Only half kidding. It would be hilarious to do Broncos Jets. Do we wait until there's baseball playoffs?
Because isn't the Thursday night game in 2 weeks the Bucks and the Bears?
Okay, that would be a lot of fun. Because
though the Bears again Pavlovian response,
you'll fall asleep during it.
But it's Tom Brady.
Also, you're old, so you fall asleep anyway at night games.
Also, Bills Chiefs a couple weeks after that. Stibbs could just be a psycho.
There's rooting interest in both of those.
Yeah.
So.
What about that Bills Chiefs on Thursday, October 15th?
I won't be invited anyway, so what's it matter?
That's true.
Good points.
I don't think I have any fantasy players on either of those teams, which that's where my interest level is.
What about the Bears or the Bucks?
I love the collective groan.
God.
What about the Bears or the Bucks?
No,
I hope
really.
you don't have any Bears players on your fantasy team.
Honestly, it's going to depend if the Cubs or Indians or both are still playing.
So we got to wait till November then?
Well, for the Cubs, we just have to wait until Thursday night. And then after that.
That's right.
Rams Patriots, December 10th?
Yeah, let's go stand on Jack's driveway on December the 10th.
I got a fire pit, and I have Sony Michel on my fantasy team. So, yes.
Perfect. The perfect game. Jack's rooting for Sony Michel. So John's getting mad killing him.
Because you know what will happen? We'll have to switch over to some crappy Nebraska ball game.
That brings up an interesting
question. The bubble will be going.
With you on
and we're losing by 20.
Shut up. With Sony Michel being on your fantasy team, does that mean you were rooting against all the Rex Burkhead touches?
Yes, I got Red Zone on, and I keep turning it on, and I said to my son, I feel bad saying this, but I am so tired of Rex Burkhead. I never thought I'd say this in my life, but I don't want to see him again. He's in on every play.
Meanwhile, Alex Gordon is saying goodbye to every single soul at Royal Stadium, and Jack's not watching it.
Josh has middle fingers up to Rex Burkhead and Alex Gordon. Incredible.
You're right. What am I doing? What am I doing as a Nebraska fan?
All of your Husker love. They've just taken it all away.
Amazing.
All right. Well, we'll figure out this Wang Nachos thing, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye, Jack.
Jack Mitchell from our sister station, KLIN. Don't forget, listen for Big Debate Overreaction tomorrow night on KLIN.com.
Can't wait.
He's not doing it, but
on the morning show.
Wednesday morning.
You can listen anyway.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. Speaking of overreaction.
Oh, not Bo then.
Well,
you seem to be overreacting.
We have a hot take market. We have a college football hot take market.
Yeah, we do.
Is that where you were going to inject a little Bo Pelini?
No, not at all.
It's not a hot take.
Hey, yeah, exactly. He's bad. That's not a hot take. That's a truth take.
Well, should we go into the brand new college football hot take market?
I love it.
Let's do it next on 1620 The Zone.